Welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, the show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and it's really fun. I'm your host, Jenilee, a 12-year fantasy veteran and also a huge die-hard Bears fan. Now you may be wondering where Greg is right now, but things are a little bit crazy. We're actually shooting this in week 2. I know, it's a crazy week for us, but that's because Greg and I are both on vacation. Greg is off on a cruise this weekend and early next week, and I will be in Vegas. Yay, Vegas! Next week. But we are getting you our picks for week 3. We are getting you these picks even though we're going to be out of town. Unfortunately, we don't have the week 2 stats yet because the games haven't happened. Only one game has happened in week 2 so far. But we are getting you week 3 picks based on what's going on in the season this far. So let me get right into it. It's week 3 here at Big Balls Fantasy Football, and I have my real men. I have 2 go hards for you and 2 go softs for you. That's how we're doing it this year. You get 2 people that you should start that should get you a lot of points, and then 2 people that you might have to start them if you don't have anyone else, but really do not expect a big week from them. So let me start off with my first go hard for week 3. And my first go hard for week 3 is Andrew Luck of the Colts. Yes, 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 finally I'm talking about Andrew Luck, but there's been some reasons that I haven't been talking about him until now. Let's start off the fact that he is playing the Titans in week 3. This is what he did against the Titans in 2014. In game 1, he passed for 393 yards and 4 touchdowns against that Titan D. Now, the Titans they fixed things a little bit throughout the season and against Luck and the Colts because in the second game that he played them, he passed for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. So by far, the Titans did fix their defense against him a little bit. But look at this. He passed for 2 or more touchdowns in both games against them last season. Now, I know that he was not great against the Buffalo Bills, but the Buffalo Bills have a phenomenal defense. And I predict in week 2 that he might not have the best week against the Jets. The Jets have a very good secondary. They have a good defense as well. He might not be as bad as he was against the Bills, but I just don't predict him to have a great week in week 2. Therefore, in week 3 is when he's going to be really needing to get it going. And I think this is going to be the week that he's definitely going to do it against this Titan defense that is not very good. It'll also be his first divisional matchup this year, and those divisional games are ones that you absolutely want to win. In 2014, the Titans allowed 235.8 passing yards per game, and in 2013, their defense allowed 225.8 yards per game, passing yards per game, that is. So their passing defense has not been great by any means over the last 2 seasons. I don't see it tightening up that much this year either. And hopefully if T.Y. Hilton is out for week 2, which it's looking like he is going to be out for week 2, hopefully Andrew Luck has him back in week 3. That's his guy. That's the guy he likes to go to. So hopefully this injury, if Hilton sits out week 2, will only hold him out for a week and he'll have his star wide receiver back. So definitely have to go hard with Andrew Luck in week 3. Now let's move it on into my second go hard for week 3. And that is wide receiver Brandon Marshall. I love Brandon Marshall. I'm so sad that my Bears got rid of him. If you watch our show, you know that he's one of my favorite wide receivers, and you know that I'm very, very upset that the Bears got rid of him. But he is with the New York Jets this year, and I think he's going to have a good week in week 3. You need to start him. This guy is one of the top receivers in the league. He has had 7 seasons so far with 1,000 yards or more. The only reason he didn't do it last season really was because, well, the Bears were completely horrible on all ends, but he was also injured last year. But yes, that's 7 seasons with 1,000 yards or more. He is still one of the top receivers in the NFL. And they are playing the Eagles in week 3. Now, in week 1, he was targeted 9 times, and that is the most by anyone on the team. So he did get the most targets in week 1, and he did have a touchdown in week 1. He did get in the end zone. Again, we're not sure exactly what his stats are going to look like for week 2 just yet, but in week 1, he did pretty good. And the Eagles allowed 298 passing yards in week 1. Atlanta scorched them pretty much through the air, and Julio Jones did most of that. Julio had 2 touchdowns. So Julio Jones is a big wide receiver. He was able to get in the end zone against that Eagles defense. And Brandon Marshall is another big wide receiver. I definitely expect him to be able to get a touchdown in week 3, and he's a guy that you have to start this week. Now let me move it on to my 2 go soft picks. These are guys that you probably don't want to start if you have a better option, or if you have to start them, beware, because they might not get you the points that you're used to getting out of them. My first go soft this week in week 3 is running back Lamar Miller. He is facing the Bills defense. And as we know, the Bills defense looks very, very good this year. They have been playing pretty much lights out. Another reason I don't like Lamar Miller is look at what he did against the Bills in 2014. Not very much. In the first game he played against them, he only went for 46 yards and 0 touchdowns. And in the second game he played against them, it was a Thursday night football game, so it was a primetime game. He did a little bit better yard-wise. He went for 86 yards, but still, again, 0 touchdowns. Last season, he didn't even get in the end zone against them, and he didn't go for 100 yards against them, and I don't think it's going to happen again either this year, or at least not in this game. The Bills only allowed 64 rushing yards in week 1, and also Lamar Miller did not run the ball well against the Redskins in week 1. He only went for 53 yards and 0 touchdowns against the Redskins. So he didn't start out the year so great. Again, not sure what he'll do in week 2 here, but this matchup in week 3 does not look good. I just don't like it. If you don't need to start him and you have someone else that has a better matchup, play that other person. And let's go with my second go soft for this week 3. And another running back, running back Mark Ingram. Again, this is one that I just don't like his matchup. He's playing against the Panthers. Now, he did struggle a little bit in week 1 versus the Cardinals. Actually, he struggled a lot of it because he only had 24 rushing yards in week 1. Granted, the Cardinals defense is very good, but 24 yards for your starting running back, that is not a good thing at all. And the Panthers actually had a pretty good week 1 defensively. They held Jacksonville to under 100 rushing yards total. And Jacksonville's lead back, TJ Yeldon, only went for 51 yards. So the Panthers pretty much bottle up Jacksonville's running game in week 1. And I assume that they'll keep doing that throughout the season. In the second game last year, the Panthers held Mark Ingram to 43 yards and 0 touchdowns. So even though last year he played a good first game against them, his stats were good in that game, the second game the Panthers figured out what to do against him, and they held him to only 43 yards. So again, I just don't like this matchup. It is a divisional matchup with those. Sometimes those divisional matchups are not the best in fantasy, so beware of this guy as well in week 3. So now I'm going to shoot it on over to Greg, who is on his cruise, but he's getting you his beasting out picks for week 3 so that you guys will have our picks and you can still win your fantasy league. That's what matters, even though we're off on vacation right now. So Greg is going to have his beasting out picks, and thank you for joining me for my Real Men segment in week 3.
Hey everybody, welcome to week 3 of Beasting Out. I am, of course, Greg the Beast. I have my 2 go softs, my 2 go hards for you this week. I am out at sea on a princess cruise going down the coast of the USA. I'm having a blast right now, but I'm not leaving you hanging. I'm making sure you have your picks to win or to watch out for in week 3. My first pick for you this week is my first go hard, Le'Veon Bell, over there on the Steelers. He is back from his 2-game suspension. He is ready to kick some total ass. Look at those stats for 2014. 1,361 yards, 11 touchdowns. He now has D'Angelo Williams as the 1-2 punch to help him out, of course. So that way he'll get some rest and he'll be able to He won't have as many carries if they do the 1-2 punch, but he's going to tear off more yards for you. Le'Veon Bell, of course, also, they love passing to him out of the backfield. He's going to get yards for you on that as well. I know he's playing against the Rams defense, but he is just a type of running back that makes something out of nothing. Get him in your lineup in week 3. My second go hard for you, of course, is Gronk, and he is playing up against the Jaguars. This is Christmas come early. Are you kidding me? Gronk is going to lose his mind. He's actually never played against the Jaguars. The last time these two teams met, the Patriots and the Jaguars, Aaron Hernandez, we know where he is now, was the tight end, and he lit it up against them. So if Aaron Hernandez lit it up, Gronk is going to lose his freaking mind. My bold prediction, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards. Got to get him in your lineup. So here are 2 picks that might not get you as many points as you think. My first go soft is Alshon Jeffery. He is, of course, going to be playing up in Seattle in the clink up against the Legion of Boom, who are a little shorthanded but are still effective. You are going to have the 12th man up there, the crowd losing their fool mind, going crazy up there, and Jeffrey's not going to be able to hear the play calls as well. He's also still gimpy, so you don't know what his potential is right now. He could go blow 100 yards for you. He could be out half of his plays in the game, messing around with that injury on his leg. So I just don't like this matchup. I don't like any wide receiver or any running back up against Seattle this year. And my final pick, my second go soft, is Tyler Eifert, the tight end over there on the Bengals. He is playing up against the Ravens, who have given up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to tight ends. In the last meeting that Tyler Eifert had last season up against the Ravens, he did not do well because he loves going over the middle, and the Ravens defense just has that potential to stop that. Don't put him in your lineup this week. He's not going to get you a hell of a lot of points. So that's my segment for this week. Like I said, not leaving you hanging here in week 3. Go to our social media. Don't forget to look us up on Twitter and on Facebook. And, of course, don't forget to download our app. You'll be able to watch my segment and Jenilee's Real Men picks, of course, every week. You're also going to get caches and post blogs with strategies to help you win in week 3 as well. So that's it. And bon voyage to me. I'm at sea.